Welcome back. Government does not seem to be committed to the developmental state of South Africa. Now, this is according to Martin Kwaggwa of the Sam Tambani Research Institute. A developmental state places the responsibility of protecting citizens from social and economic ills on government. Kwaggwa says the state has abandoned this ideology by not reining in rising food and fuel costs. He joins us now to discuss this very issue. Mr. Kwaggwa, good morning and thank you very much for your time. You've written a very interesting piece in the Mail and Guardian that I read last night. You question government's commitment to the advancement of a developmental state. Now, before we unpack that, perhaps just for the benefit of those who might not be familiar with the concept, what do we mean when we talk of a developmental state?
Good morning and good morning to your viewers. When we talk about the development state, it is a position that is taken that the government will play a critical role in supporting development and the people. And one of the pillars of a developmental state is protecting the citizen and also the recognizing that you can't leave everything to the market. Markets cannot bring the best outcome for the people. So the state has to play a very active role in development, but also in making sure that people are protected. And that is a developmental state in brief.
Then unpack your assertion now for us that they are failing in this respect.
I think the point I want to emphasize that when you consider the increase in fuel prices, this affects a number of people, particularly the working people, the entrepreneur people. And when you see it in the context of all other developments and hardships that people are facing, there was a need to protect them because the government is supposed to be the custodian of their interest. And when the government just puts its hand in the air and people are left on their own, then it puts in the question, is this still a developmental state that people voted for or people want?
But then when we listen to government's response to all that's happening now, particularly the rise in fuel, we've heard the finance minister say this is beyond their control. They have tried with the levy, but at some point they had to do away with it or bring it back, because if they don't, where would they find the 90 billion that would be a shortfall in the fiscus? Do you think that type of a response is fair enough according to you?
I don't find it fair enough, because I think government needs to have priorities. At this point in time, it is being indicated like it is only government, if you protect the people, then government has no money at all. We should understand that we are going through a hard period economically. But if people are central to government, then you need to protect them as you try to find better ways to deal with other socio-economic problems. So the government still has powers through its fiscus to get some money somewhere to protect the people. So for me, that saying that they have tried everything and there is nothing they can do, I don't think that is a fair and an acceptable position of government.
And then what role do we have as citizens, perhaps to put forward a few proposals for them if we feel that they're struggling? Because we're seeing that many people are constantly characterizing the problem. We all know what the problems are, but very few perhaps are bringing the solutions to them and rather say, you know what, we're going to criticize you for disregarding our solutions. Are you seeing a lot of organizations bringing proposals, apart from perhaps political parties, because they really do try in most instances to put forward some proposals, the likes of the Democratic Alliance, even through COVID. In most instances, they would have their own proposals, and the likes of the EFF. But as ordinary citizens, do you think we try to put forward proposals for government to either accept or reject?
I think as individuals, it is very hard to influence government. But civil society in general can play a critical role, almost equivalent to that of political parties. Trade unions can play a critical role. I think government should be reminded by civil society that we are facing a problem and you are not listening to us enough. Because we hear what government is talking, but when we see what it is doing practically, it seems it does not recognize its developmental role. So people need to be organized either through civil societies or groups that can put reasonable peer pressure for government to listen.
But many of them are. We do have a lot of those civil society organizations. Do you think, though, they are putting forward the right type of solutions, or maybe they are honestly putting them forward, but government is ignoring them?
I think many of them are putting out their position. But government, we don't know if it is deliberately ignoring them or it claims it has no power. But my point is that as long as you're in the government, you still have leverages that you can use to influence outcomes to society. So I think effort is being done, but I think it is the response of government which is slow.
And then just in closing, what do you make of former President Thabo Mbeki's statement that South Africa faces its own Arab Spring because people are honestly unhappy now with the corruption and levels of unemployment?
Well, to some extent, it resonates with what I'm trying to say in my opinion piece, which was saying that if people begin to feel that there is a gap between them and the government, at one point, there may be a point of confrontation. So I agree to some extent. Whether it will happen or not, I'm not sure. But that gap is increasing. And somehow, people need to find that government is working their interest. Otherwise, the risk exists.
Let's hope they heed that call. Mr. Kwaggwa, thank you very much for your time. That's Sam Tambani Research Institute Executive Research Director, Dr. Martin Kwaggwa.